Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Okay, this is part of a marathon of streams that runs the entire length of Christmas. So, somebody has a place to go if they're lonely on Christmas. It's for anybody who hasn't been following along or coming in from after the stream. And for my little opener, here's the song "Oh Christmas Tree." Started as a German song as "O Tannenbaum," which directly translates as "Oh Fir Tree." So I gotta say, "Oh Fir Tree." Doesn't quite have the same ring. That was originally from 1824, so no copyright. Hey, hey YouTube. Want some fur. Yeah, yeah, that's the right fur. So, what do we have in the chat here? We've got Pragmatic Crystal, Doorknob Head, Beck, uh, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, Jason, Jacoby, and Maya. Hello. A nice little crowd I've got here. So, as you can see in the description, this will be about the Christmas tree, seeing as this is also a gardening channel. And we can talk about all the nice gardening stuff. Yeah, we got another person coming in. Spooky Bed Hair. Hello, and Mark. Always nice to see you here. uh, interesting thing with the history of Christmas tree. He's a lot of people will think it's usually a pagan roots, and I can understand where they might get that idea. I mean, there are definitely a lot of trees he's in pagan rituals and whatnot, but the Christmas tree itself may actually have a predecessor with the tree of paradise, and this was is a tree, usually a fir tree, that was decorated with apples and was used in a play, reenacting Adam and Eve in the garden, with the apples representing the fruit, and the tree representing the tree in the play. And that may have been the actual inspiration for Christmas trees later on. Um, One of the earliest known people to put up a Christmas tree, he was the Protestant and Christian reformer Martin Luther, who's known who supposedly he decorated evergreen trees with candles. So it's a little bit of the history of where we get the Christmas tree from. And the practice is of doing Christmas trees probably started sometime in the 1500s and became very popular around 1840, when Queen Charlotte did it when the Queen Charlotte set up one on in indoors in Windsor. Also, with the development of setting up of Christmas trees, also came to get the practice of gift giving among families. Prior to that, any kind of gift giving was more of a charity kind of thing. Prince Albert was supposed to have made Christmas trees popular in the UK, so they say. Well, I didn't find anything on Prince Albert when I was looking up this information, but yeah, it's possible there's quite a number of sources that helped popularize it. And I imagine just one person doing it, or two people, well, and three, four, yada yada, and goes, "Hey, that's a pretty nice decoration. I'm gonna do one." I can see that happening. So yes, yep, that's Molly. I got up there looking all cute and begging. So where was I now? Oh yes. the the Pinacea. It's a pine tree he family or pine family. He has around 220 to 250 different species, depending on how you rank them taxonomically. And as far as I can tell, we use at least half of them for Christmas trees. They split up into 11 genres, is with one of the more popular ones being the Douglas fir, which, interestingly enough, the Douglas fir isn't actually a true fir. It's actually a part of the Pseudotsuga fam genus, or false hemlock. So it's actually in a completely different subfamily, if you go by that. Nope, it's not a true fir. It's a different species. Though we do use a few true firs, such as the Fraser fir, and the red fir, or noble fir, which, interestingly enough, a common name for the noble fir is Christmas tree. Uh, so, find my place again. Here we are. interesting thing with the fresh pine scent that you get hit with trees. These that comes from a chemical compound called terpenes, and this is actually the same group of chemical compounds that you find in marijuana, which gives it that skunk smell. It's a different set of terpenes, of course. There's, but it's found in a lot of different and rather fragrant plants, and these help to give not just the aroma, but it actually acts as a protection and for the plant from herbivores and helps to deter fungal growth on the plant. This is check out the that's a Pohuto Mukawa tree, also known as the New Zealand Christmas tree. Huh? Didn't see that one. Didn't come up. I probably butchered that name too. Potokawa tree. Oh, that is a very pretty tree. Let's get a picture of this thing up. I got too many tabs open here. I'm getting lost. Okay. There we are. Yeah, it's a very nice tree. So, what's it say on in here about this thing? An iron iron tree, also known as coastal level evergreen in the myrtle family. Hmm. Includes a brilliant display of red or occasionally orange, yellow, or white flower, each consisting of a mass of stamens. Poacar is one of 12 of Metronocidor rose species. It is endemic to New Zealand, renowned for its vibrant color and its ability to survive even perched on rocky and prestigious cliffs. It's found in an important place in New Zealand culture for its strength and beauty and is regarded as a chiefly tree. Yeah, very nice. And its name Meta Lucidora rose derived from ancient Greek meaning meta or heartwood and sidoron or iron. I guess that explains why it also is called the iron tree. Ah, see, we have one of the subfamily these are quite often used. Actually, something I thought instead of going into that. Yeah, I know. So you guys can see what I was talking about. You have the statistics here. You can see how everything's set up here. The where the Pseudotsuga sits, where compared to the Albies further down, about 1, 2, 3 up. The Albies furrow. Remember, that's kind of gives you an idea of where the What are the two fir the, false fir or sits, the Douglas fir. Yeah. A I'd imagine it probably still floats. Uh, Another thing that comes up quite a bit eh, on this is the argument between real trees versus fake trees. And it's actually even finding that real trees are generally more environmentally sustainable than in the artificial trees, unless you happen to be able to keep your artificial tree for more than 20 years. Then the cost benefit switches. Some of the reasons for this is that growing the real trees actually captures a lot of CO2 as they grow. And usually the Christmas tree that you buy is about between usually around 10 years is when they'll cut them down, but they can be between 8 and 12 years old. So they've had all that time growing and capturing CO2, and usually the young trees are doing the most growth is what is going to capture the most CO2 as well. So they're actually capturing them in the prime for doing that. There's also the argument of whether the trees are taking up space for food crops or livestock or whatnot. Are we just wasting space trying to grow all these trees just to cut them down, and use them for decorations? Not so. Christmas trees actually grow best in poor soil, in areas that would be unsustainable for other crops or livestock. Uh, And by growing the trees there, it helps reduce soil erosion and increases the fertility in that area. So in that way, having live trees grown for Christmas is actually a benefit to the land. And one of the downsides to, of course, the live tree is that they're not really reusable. So unlike real tree or unlike artificial tree, is you can reuse them over and over. Though the metals and the plastics that they're made of actually, one of the plastics inks that are commonly used in Christmas trees is kind of toxic and has been removed from kids' toys. But it's not really recyclable. You have to throw them out. The other real big downside to a real tree versus an artificial tree would be the cost. I mean, you spend maybe $20 for a artificial tree. It'll last maybe some people have it last about 3 years. Some if you can get it last to 20 years, you got a really good bargain on your hands. But of course, you have to replace the real tree every year. But disposing of your real tree is a nice little thing in itself, because you can take it to a recycling place that probably he deals with the Christmas trees afterwards, or even better yet, you can compost it. Christmas tree pieces is actually serve as an excellent mulch, which is one of the things that are a benefit to the land where they're grown. And bring it up here. Okay, I think this is it. There we are. How to care for Christmas trees. According to this site, this is the National Christmas Tree Association. When a Christmas tree is cut in half the half is weight is water. With a proper care, you can maintain the quality of your tree. And here are a number of tips. Displaying trees in water in a traditional reservoir type stand is the most effective way of maintaining their freshness and minimizing needle loss problems. Ah, the needle loss problem. I was looking into this one a little bit. When you first get your tree, you want to cut about an inch off of the bottom of the base. This will expose the basically like straws, which will help suck up the water in the trunk. I believe it's called xylem. Yeah, that's it. Then when you place the tree into the stand, and try and make sure you're not drilling into the tree when you're tightening the screws. You just want the tree held by pressure. Because drilling into it is going to damage your tree. Now, most of the time, you want to keep your tree in a cool area with the exposure to a window. Even if you can get a cool drafty spot, that is actually ideal. Though the only time you really want warmth around your tree is the first time you water it. Use lukewarm water instead of regular your room temperature water. The rest of the time you want to use room temperature water. So, and this will help keep the plant going pretty well. There's been a lot of different tricks suggested for dealing with trees, such as adding some of this stuff is pretty out there. They've been ones you add fertilizer, a small amount of bleach, uh, even Viagra has been added into water sometimes, or sugar. When I was looking up at this stuff, I found the little MythBusters video where they were testing out, the different methods of maintaining needle quality on trees. The recommended method, usually if you talk to an expert, would be just plain water, nothing added to it. Now, the MythBusters thing actually found that their baseline, which was plain water, er, did worse than all of the other methods they used, with the exception of adding fertilizer, which makes sense, seeing as the tree tends to be a poor tends to grow in poor soil. The addition of bleach and Viagra in their tests ended up changing the color of the tree, making it look sickly. The the one that retained the most pine needles and retained its color was the one that they sprayed with hairspray. Though there was a definite concern that they brought up with that of a fire hazard with having a dry pine tree covered in hairspray. Also, I would discourage from using hairspray on your pine tree, because if you want to compost it, you don't want that going into your compost. Another thing about putting the tree into the base, you don't want the bottom of the tree touching the bottom of the base. You want that just in the water complete, but you want that in the water completely. There has been some the argument of whether cutting it at an angle or cutting it straight across. There's really no difference, though I can see where cutting it at an angle might have some benefit if preventing it from having it rest on the bottom and covered. Because if it's cut at an angle, it could prevent that from happening. But if you do have it cut at an angle, you want the entire cut covered in water. And if your pine tree does dry out, if say you forget to water it you want to take about another inch off of the base and then remount it and water it. They'll re-expose that xylem, so it can take up water again. That's possibly what was going on, but keeping the tree in a cool spot will also do that. This is the reason why you want to keep it out of the heat. Adding heat will actually cause the tree to want to grow, and will cause it to lose water, which may be the reason why the Mythbusters got the results they did. They may have been in a warm area, because a 2010 study he done and actually found that again just plain water was the best way to go. This study was done by the University of Wisconsin. Wonder if the incidence of Christmas tree fire has reduced in the last 20 years because LED lights don't generate nearly as much heat as traditional bulb. That's probably. Also, you probably find without the heat generated from those bulbs, your Christmas tree is probably going to be healthier too. Check the time. To display the tree indoors, use a stand with a aquatic ink water holding capacity for the tree. And if I remember correctly, it was 1 quart. What was it? I have it in my notes here. I can just find it. Took so many notes. I know I have that in my notes. And I can't find it in my notes now. Of course. Now that I'm actually going live. All right. Yeah, it was about I believe 1 quart of water per something of the size per square foot of the tree, I believe it was. Anyway. Oh, wait, here it is right here. Per 1 quart of water or per inch of stem diameter. That's what I was looking for. It's right I'm looking at reading here. The devices are available that help maintain a constant water level in the stand. Another thing, use a stand that fits into your tree. Avoid wilting in the side and whittling the sides of your trunk down to fit a stand. And the outer layer of wood are the most efficient in taking up water and should not be removed. Make a fresh cut to remove about 1/2 inch thick disc of wood from the base of the trunk, or about 1 inch too. Before putting the tree in the stand, make the cut perpendicular to the stem's axis. Don't cut the trunk at an angle or in a V shape, which makes it far more difficult to hold the tree in the stand and also reduces the amount of water available to the tree. Now, as I mentioned, cutting it at an angle doesn't. There's no real proof that there is any benefit or drawback to cutting it at an angle versus cutting it straight. I've never heard of cutting it at a V shape. But as mentioned, the whole problem with cutting at an angle is you just have to make sure that you get that water level at that right spot. You can maintain the water level much easier with a perpendicular cut. Drilling a hole in the base of the trunk does not improve water uptake. No, it's not going to improve water uptake. Remember, the whole surface that you're exposing when you're cutting it are basically a bunch of straws. So that's where your water's being taken up. And exactly how it takes up water, we actually don't know. There are a few theories as to exactly how it works, but we can get into that a little bit if I still have time. Once home, place the tree in water as soon as possible. Most species can go about 6 to 8 hours after you're cutting the trunk and can still take up water. So probably be best to get it home, cut it, and then mount it and get it in water as soon as possible. Don't bruise the cut surface or get it dirty. If needed, trees can be temporarily stored over several days in a cool location. Place the freshly cut trunk in a bucket that is kept full of water. The temperature of the water used to fill the stand is not important and does not affect water uptake. But as I mentioned, the first time you do it, using warm water or lukewarm water can actually help. But that's only the first time around. Uh, Check the stand daily to make sure that the level of water does not go below the base of the tree. With many stands, there can still be water in the stand, and even though the base of the tree is no longer submerged in water. And that's actually another drawback of live trees. You have to check it every day, whereas an artificial tree, you can just kind of let it go. So maintenance of your live tree, you keep your tree away from major sources of heat, fireplaces, heaters, heat vents, direct sunlight. Lowering the room temperature will slow the drying process, resulting in less water consumption each day. As I've mentioned, using use of lights that produce low heat, such as miniature lights, will reduce drying of the tree, which kind of gets into the use of LEDs and whatnot. Always inspect lights and set prior to placing them on the tree. You form and use them with a new set. Good idea, because you don't want any sparks getting on your dry tree and setting it on fire. And that's actually a big problem with live trees and burning them. See the stuff on there; they can ignite very easily. Do not overload electrical circuits fairly. So you don't want your 2 dozen in wall sockets. It's connected to the one thing. Always turn off the tree lights when leaving the house or when going to bed. Good safety tip, I guess. Monitor tree for freshness. After Christmas, or if the tree is very dry, you remove it from the house. Visit the tree recycling page to find and recycling program near you. Or as I recommend, compost it, turn it into mulch once for your garden. Never burn any part of a Christmas tree in a wood, a stove, or fire. Okay, that one I thought was kind of interesting. So I was looking up why not to burn your Christmas tree. And what I found one site here, it says toxic gases in chimney fires. That's probably a good reason. Conifer needlers are usually covered with a layer of wax and have an internal network of channels filled with resin. Both of the wax and resin catch fire and burn very easily. In the worst case, the extreme heat gives off by burning these branches. This can lead to a chimney fire. The needles on the Christmas tree also contain a lot of nitrogen, and it's an element which under unfavorable combustion conditions, forms several extremely toxic and suffocating, irritating, and corrosive gas compounds. So yeah, don't burn your Christmas trees. You could basically be creating a chemical fire in your chimney. uh, and of course, a lot of people would want to look at the tree and wonder, can you regrow it or just plant it again and get it to a root? That's very tricky to do, though it might not be entirely impossible. Uh, I was trying to look into whether you can replant your tree. There are several sites that it will do dig a hole, stick it in the ground. Oh, there we go. It was planted. Yeah, the thing probably just died and they just didn't film it. I did come across one guy who took about 6 months and actually filmed what he did. With that, he actually gave it fairly ideal conditions, where he had a cold, snowy environment, and so the tree was dormant. He put it into a large container, or after cutting off some of scraping off some of the bark from about an inch from the bottom, and then adding root hormone to it. That should give it ideal conditions to root. On top of that, he put a heating pad under it to encourage the roots to grow. So while the top of it would remain dormant, the roots should be encouraged to grow with the heat from the base. And when spring came around, he checked his tree. It was a very pretty orange, but there was no root growth. Looking into using cuttings for your tree, the recommendation would is about a 6-inch piece of cutting, in at least a year old or less. Anything older than that won't root. And of course, using the hormone, and I imagine you can try with the this guy's techniques. Now, this guy apparently did try to use some cuttings. I don't know how old the cuttings were they tried with, but his results again ended up in failure, or with the branches lasting about 2 months before molding up. So it's apparently possible to grow from cuttings, or at least they're a year or less old, but still extremely difficult to do. All right, see you later. We're glad you were able to stop in. what we have here? Also, I'm pretty sure one of my must be another. One way you can save money on getting your trees is if you get a tree that's abnormal or natural. These will be asymmetrical trees. They'll be cheaper, and if you like that more natural look, it's the way to go. And you save yourself a little bit of money eh, with it. Yeah. Let's see, I've got about 19 minutes left here. I suppose I should probably announce the next guy up here. I have all this in my description. And the next one up is the Kentucky Atheist. I'll put his link in the chat in a little bit here. What we have here. Want an augmented reality tree? You're basically just a big QR code on my floor that doesn't take up space. Well, I guess that's the way to go. Oh. I gotta say, one of the geniuses is within in the Pinacea group or the Pine family. I found rather humorous as it goes by a Pinus. It's Pinus. Not what you were thinking. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. I can decorate it however like Hellraiser, Star Trek, just any old theme. Well, if it's a virtual tree, then you can have your guests select what they want to see. We live in the gutter. Yes. Well, it's almost about 15 minutes to the next guy here, so there's a link to Kentucky Atheist's channel. Will be taking over for me at the top of the hour. Of course, the only problem with living in the gutter is do you float? Of course, we already know the answer is that we all float. Oh, yeah, sure. If you want to cut out, I can go ahead. It's up to you. Yeah, if you want to go a little early, you can start things up. That's fine by me. I don't mind and wasting an extra 15 minutes just BSing with everybody in the chat. So just let me know if when you get going here. Well, I'm sure I could probably dig up some more stuff if need be. But I hope I was able to entertain everybody with my ramblings of Christmas trees. Uh, we're all in together, but some of us are looking at the stars. There you go. Thanks for the fun info. Yeah, you're welcome. 205 subs. Oh wow, it looks like I actually picked up a few subs doing this. Oh, well, yes, I did. Well, thank you very much for everybody who subscribed. I don't do nearly enough live streams on here. I probably you should do more often, especially seeing as I've been struggling to get videos out. It'll give me something to put on the channel while in between in trying to put something together. Which, by the way, with the next video I'm working on is going to be a nice little review of a Christmas present that was sent to me. Nice soil knife. I've got most of the video filmed. I just want to get maybe one more shot in, and before I edit it up and get it out. And I want to try and get my year-end video done. And for those keeping track, I will be going live again, and that's 1 a.m. in the morning. That's Eastern Standard Time. Not under her gardens things happen here, but under my Mage Grey Wolf account, which I generally don't do anything with. But I wanted to do a little extra something, and I figured it might be entertaining to do something just a little bit different than in the garden show. So if you happen to be up at that time, well, I'll be hosting for an hour. And I've got a little bit of, I haven't quite really worked out what I'm going to be doing for the next hour, but I kind of have some idea of what I can showcase. But I'll get into that when once my next hour comes up. Good morning, Skit Scratcher. You just made it in here for the tail end of it. Kentucky Atheist will be. Oh, actually, looks like he's starting up. We're getting ready here, but I'll send everybody over to here so you can, and I'll close myself out here. There. Okay, look. Oh, wait. Why is that not? Well, at any rate, you can get the link in the description for the next one. You also have the playlist, the kickoff marathon, which you can hit everything from there too. And seeing as he's gonna start early, and I'm just kind of rambling, I guess I'll close out early. So see everybody over here at Kentucky Atheist. Later.